There was a time when Johnny Depp could walk into any room in Hollywood and be greeted with open arms. Directors wanted to work with him. Actors wanted to be in his orbit. And fans? They adored him. He was the ultimate cool, unpredictable, charming, a little dangerous, and yet completely magnetic. But in recent years, the magic seemed to fade. Not because he changed as a performer, but because his personal life became the center of a storm. And when the dust finally began to settle after his very public battle with Amber Heard, something unexpected happened. Some of his friends were no longer there. The same industry that once celebrated his every move had grown quieter. Cold. Distant. Johnny Depp didn't just go through a legal battle. He went through a loss that most people never talk about. The silent kind. The people you thought would stand by you kind. The kind that hurts the most. When you're a public figure like Johnny, a legend to so many, you think your friendships are solid. That when the tide turns, people will hold their ground with you. But that wasn't always the case. After the explosive defamation trial against Amber Heard, which gripped the world and unfolded like a real-life courtroom drama, Depp was left with more than a verdict. He was left with a list of people who just disappeared. Some quietly backed away. Others made their stance public. And a few surprised everyone. Let's talk about the ones who stepped back. The ones who, for whatever reason, are no longer in Depp's corner. First up, there's Winona Ryder. Once the ultimate 90s power couple, Johnny and Winona were inseparable. He even had Winona Forever tattooed on his body. Their romance ended years ago, but the respect and admiration seemingly remained. She had publicly defended him during early abuse allegations. But after the trial, things got quiet. No more interviews. No statements. Just silence. It was the kind of silence that speaks volumes. Then there's Paul Bettany, a close friend of Johnny's who was dragged into the legal proceedings through their private text messages. Bettany never meant for those messages to be read in court. He never imagined they'd be dissected by millions. But once they were, things changed. Their once strong friendship hasn't been seen in public since. No photos, no appearances, no mentions. Sometimes people step away not because they don't care, but because the fire burns too hot, and they don't want to get scorched. Even longtime collaborators like Tim Burton seem to pull back. The duo brought magic to the screen with films like Edward Scissorhands and Sleepy Hollow. Burton once described Depp as his muse. But during the height of the controversy, Burton stayed quiet. He didn't offer public support. He didn't cast Depp in his newer projects. And fans noticed. Some say it was Hollywood pressure. Others say it was just business. But for Depp, the absence likely felt personal. J.K. Rowling was another unexpected shift. She had cast Johnny as Grindelwald in Fantastic Beasts, defending her decision against early backlash. But after the trial and the surrounding media storm, Warner Brothers replaced him. Rowling didn't fight it. She didn't say much at all. It's hard not to wonder how that felt for Johnny, to be backed, then abandoned. Even Disney, the studio behind Pirates of the Caribbean, stayed eerily silent. Despite being the face of one of their biggest franchises, Depp was dropped quietly. No statements, no thank yous, just a quiet parting of ways. For someone who gave everything to that role, it was more than a business move. It was heartbreak. And then there were the subtle betrayals. The celebrities who made sly remarks. The ones who liked certain posts. Who shared cryptic tweets. It wasn't always a loud goodbye. Sometimes, it was the lack of support when it mattered most. But let's pause here. Because this isn't just a story about who left Johnny Depp. It's also a story about what happens when the world turns on you and you're left standing alone. Imagine being judged not just by a court, but by the entire world. Imagine having every private detail of your life laid bare, debated, mocked, twisted. And through all of that, imagine looking around, searching for familiar faces, and realizing they're not there. That kind of loneliness doesn't come from being physically alone. It comes from knowing who didn't show up when you needed them most. Depp once said in an interview, "I was like a crash test dummy for Me Too." He wasn't dismissing the movement. He was expressing the pain of being swept into a moment bigger than himself, where the lines between right and wrong blurred in the eyes of the public. In the aftermath of it all, Depp has been quieter. He's moved to France. He paints. He plays music. He shows up at film festivals, not as the loud, larger-than-life Hollywood star, but as someone who's been through the fire and is still standing. Maybe that's what resilience looks like. Because for all the people who stepped away, there are still those who stood by him. Like his fans, who never wavered. Like his legal team, who fought tooth and nail for his name. Like Dior, who continued to work with him even when others wouldn't. That loyalty meant something. But still, the silence from some corners still echoes. It's a reminder that fame is fragile. That in Hollywood, support is often conditional. That some friendships are only as strong as your public image. For Johnny Depp, the trial wasn't just about legal vindication. It was about personal reckoning. About learning who his true friends were. About realizing that in the end, not everyone you break bread with is your ally. And maybe, just maybe, that's the hardest truth of all. As Depp continues his life far from the Hollywood spotlight, one thing is clear: he's no longer trying to fit into an industry that once worshipped him, then turned cold. He's living life on his own terms now. Quietly. Reflectively. And for the first time in a long time, freely. Sometimes, what breaks us, also sets us free. And maybe Johnny Depp lost a few friends. But what he gained, was clarity. Thank you for watching this story on BuzzState. If this story stirred something in you, share it with someone. Because stories like this aren't just about celebrities, they're about human moments. About trust. About heartbreak. About discovering who truly stands by you when the lights fade, and the cameras stop rolling. And if this made you think differently about Johnny Depp, or fame, or even friendship, let us know in the comments. We read every one. And sometimes, it's your thoughts, your words, that spark the most meaningful conversations. Johnny Depp's journey is not just a headline or a courtroom drama. It's a deeply human experience. One filled with love, betrayal, silence, survival, and a quiet kind of strength most people never get to see. So if you're still rooting for him, not just the actor, but the man behind the name, you're not alone. And if you're just curious about what really goes on behind the scenes of Hollywood's shiny surface, beyond the red carpets, the movie premieres, and the picture-perfect smiles, this is the place for you. Because here on BuzzState, we bring you stories that pull back the curtain. We dive into the moments that matter. The ones that reveal the truth behind the fame. We don't just tell stories. We bring you into them. We show you the highs, the lows, and everything in between, not to judge, but to understand. Because behind every star is a real person, with real pain, real joy, and real battles. And sometimes, the strongest people are the ones who've been hurt the most, but still find a way to rise. So, if you felt something while watching this, don't just scroll away. Take a second. Tap the like button. Share it with a friend who needs to hear this. And subscribe to BuzzState for more powerful stories that go beyond the surface. Because we believe in storytelling that connects. That heals. That reminds us we're all human, even the ones we watch on screen. We'll continue bringing you more stories like this. Not just about the glitz and glamour of Hollywood, but about the people behind the fame. The real stories. The messy ones. The beautiful ones. The ones that make us feel something. And remember, what you see in the headlines is only part of the story. What really matters is what's underneath. The truth. The emotion. The lessons. The quiet strength in the background. That's what we're here for. So again, if you're still rooting for Johnny, if you believe in second chances, in growth, in healing, or if you're just here because you're curious and care about people's real stories, we're grateful to have you with us. You're part of something meaningful. Something human. Disclaimer. This video was created purely for entertainment and educational purposes. It uses AI-generated voiceovers and media elements to tell the story in a way that's engaging, cinematic, and accessible. While the events are rooted in public facts and known coverage, some moments and interpretations have been dramatized for emotional storytelling. We respect all individuals mentioned in this video. The intent is not to harm or spread negativity, but to shed light on the complex realities of fame, friendship, and personal struggle. We encourage our viewers to seek truth with compassion. To question what they hear, but to do so with kindness. To listen not just with curiosity, but with empathy. At the end of the day, these are stories about people. And people are never just one thing. Thank you for spending time with us today. Thank you for listening really.